Captain Jake Morrison rubbed his tired eyes and stared at the screen again. The numbers had to be wrong. Nobody paid that much money for a simple job. He leaned back in his chair and called out to his crew, "Hey everyone, come look at this." Mining ship New Horizon was small and cramped. 5 people lived and worked together in a space no bigger than a large house. They had been friends for years, traveling from planet to planet, taking whatever jobs they could find. Money was always tight, and good jobs were hard to come by. Lisa Grant was the first to walk over. She was Jake's second in command and had worked with him for 8 years. She looked at the screen and her eyes went wide. "That can't be right," she said. "Check the numbers again." Pete Collins came next. He was their explosives expert, a big man with rough hands and a loud laugh. Behind him came Maya Torres, their engineer. She was small and quiet but could fix anything that broke. Last was Sam Parker, their medic. He had been a soldier once, like Jake, but now he just wanted to help people and see the galaxy. "What's got you all excited?" Pete asked. Jake pointed to the job posting on his screen. "Look at this. The Galactic Coalition is looking for hazardous environment specialists. The pay is more money than we've made in the last 5 years combined." Sam read over Jake's shoulder. "What kind of work is it?" "That's the strange part," Jake said. "They're not being very clear. It says extreme atmospheric conditions, lethal wildlife, and environmental hazards. 17 previous teams have died trying to complete this mission." Maya frowned. "If 17 teams died, why are we even thinking about this?" "Because of the money," Lisa said. "With that much pay, we could all retire. No more living in this tiny ship. No more taking dangerous jobs just to eat." Pete laughed. "Dangerous jobs? We've been doing dangerous jobs our whole lives. Remember when we worked on that underwater mining platform? Or the time we had to fix equipment inside an active volcano?" "This is different," Maya said. 17 teams died, Pete? That means something really bad is waiting for us." Jake looked at his crew. They were good people. They had been through a lot together. He trusted them with his life and they trusted him. But this job scared him, not because it was dangerous. They had faced danger before, but because something about it felt wrong. "Let me read the full posting," he said. The job description was long and full of technical words. It talked about extreme temperature changes, toxic atmosphere, and creatures that could kill a person in seconds. The planet they would work on was described as one of the most dangerous places in the galaxy. The posting warned that only the strongest and most skilled teams should apply. "Sounds like a typical Tuesday for us," Pete joked. Sam was not laughing. "Jake, this sounds really bad. Maybe we should pass on this one." "The money, though," Lisa said. "We could all go home. Really go home. Buy houses, settle down, never have to work again." Jake thought about Earth. He had not been home in 12 years. His sister lived there with her family. He had nieces and nephews he had never met. The money from this job could let him go home and stay home. "What do you think the catch is?" Maya asked. "Nobody pays this much unless there's something. They're not telling us." Jake scrolled through the posting again. The client was listed as the Zarathi Empire. He had heard of them but never worked for them. They were supposed to be warriors, proud and strong. If they needed help with a dangerous job, it must be really dangerous. "Says here we need to provide our own equipment and transportation," Jake said. "They'll reimburse us when the job is done." "That's normal," Lisa said. "What else?" "Medical clearance required, psychological evaluation, proof of previous experience in hazardous environments." Jake kept reading. "References from at least 3 previous employers, clean criminal record." Pete snorted. "Good thing they don't know about that time on Kepler Station." "That wasn't our fault and you know it," Sam said. Jake found the application section. It was long and detailed. They wanted to know everything about their crew, their ship, their equipment, and their experience. There were questions about survival training, emergency procedures, and something called Death World protocols. "What's a Death World protocol?" Maya asked. "I have no idea," Jake said. "But it sounds important." Lisa was already pulling up their work history on her tablet. We have plenty of references. The mining company on Titan loved us. So did the research station on Europa. And the construction crew on that space station near Mars. Those were all Earth system jobs, though, Sam pointed out. This is different. This is alien work. Jake looked at his crew again. They were scared, but they were also excited. The money was too good to ignore. They had worked hard their whole lives for a chance like this. I say we apply, he said finally. But we do it right. We tell them exactly what we can do and what we can't do. No lies, no exaggeration. If they still want us after that, then maybe this job is meant for us. Pete clapped his hands together. I'm in. What's the worst that could happen? We could die, Maya said quietly. We could die crossing the street, Pete said. At least this way we get paid well for taking the risk, Sam sighed. If we're doing this, we need to be smart about it. Check everything twice, make sure our equipment is perfect. Plan for every emergency we can think of. Agreed, Jake said. Lisa, start working on the application. Maya, check all our systems and make a list of anything that needs repair or replacement. Pete, inventory our tools and explosives. Sam, make sure our medical supplies are current. As his crew scattered to their tasks, Jake stared at the job posting one more time. Something in his gut told him this job would change everything. He just hoped it would change everything for the better. 3 days later, they submitted their application. Now all they could do was wait and hope that whoever the Zarathi Empire were, they would give 5 humans from Earth a chance to prove themselves in the dangerous galaxy beyond their home system. 2 weeks later, Jake got the message. They had been accepted for the job. The Zarathi Empire wanted to meet them on their home planet as soon as possible. Jake called his crew together to share the news. We leave tomorrow, he said. They're sending coordinates for their homeworld. The job starts immediately. The flight to Zarath Prime took 3 days. During the trip, Jake and his crew tried to learn about their new employers. The computer files said the Zarathi were a warrior race that had controlled part of the galaxy for hundreds of years. They were strong, proud, and considered themselves the best fighters in space. If they're so tough, why do they need us? Pete asked. Maybe the job is too dangerous even for them, Sam said. When they arrived at Zarath Prime, Jake was surprised. He had expected a harsh military world with gray buildings and armed guards everywhere. Instead, he saw the most beautiful planet he had ever visited. Green grass covered rolling hills. Clear blue water sparkled in lakes and rivers. The air smelled like flowers. This place looks like a vacation resort, Lisa said as they walked down the ship's ramp. Are you sure we're at the right planet? Maya asked. Before Jake could answer, a group of aliens approached them. The Zarathi were tall and thin with pale blue skin. They wore what looked like spacesuits with helmets that covered their faces. Even though they were outside in the fresh air, they were completely sealed inside their protective gear. The leader of the group stepped forward. Through his helmet speaker, he spoke in accented English. I am Commander Zexhai of the Zarathi Empire. You are the specialist from the Sol system? Jake nodded. I'm Captain Jake Morrison. This is my crew. Commander Zexhai looked at them carefully. Where are your environmental suits? Your breathing apparatus? Your protection gear? Jake looked confused. Protection from what? The air here is fine. Better than fine, actually. It's really clean. Through his helmet, Zexhai's eyes went wide. You are breathing our atmosphere directly? Without filters? Why would we need filters? Lisa asked. This is the freshest air I've breathed in years. The other Zarathi began talking to each other in their own language. They sounded worried and excited at the same time. Perhaps we should move to a safer location, Zexhai said. There are dangers here. Pete looked around at the peaceful landscape. What dangers? This place is like a park. Zexhai pointed to a small animal near a tree. It looked like a rabbit with long ears and soft fur. The Keth beast. Very dangerous. Its claws can cause serious injury. Pete walked over to the animal. It looked up at him with big, gentle eyes. He reached down and petted its head. The creature made a soft purring sound. This little guy? Pete laughed. It's harmless. Look, it likes being petted. The Zerathi moved back in fear. One of them fell down and had to be helped up by his companions. "You touched the Keth beast with your bare hands?" Zexhai asked in shock. "It's just a bunny," Pete said. "A really cute bunny." Sam pulled out his phone and showed the aliens some pictures. "These are animals from our world. This is a bear. This is a shark. This is a snake that can kill you with one bite." The Zerathi fainted when they saw the pictures. Maya noticed that the aliens were having trouble carrying their equipment. She walked over to help. "Here, let me get that for you." She picked up a large metal case that 3 Zerathi had been struggling with. To her it felt like it weighed almost nothing. Zexhai stared at her. "How did you do that?" "Do what?" Maya asked. "That container weighs over 200 units. It requires a full team to move." Maya shrugged. "It's not that heavy. Maybe 50 pounds at most." The commander turned to his assistants and spoke rapidly in his language. Jake could not understand the words, but the tone sounded like panic. "Is there a problem?" Jake asked. Zexhai was quiet for a long moment. "Tell me about your world. This Sol system. This Earth." "It's home," Jake said simply. "Nothing special. We have oceans, mountains, forests. Weather can be rough sometimes, storms, earthquakes, that sort of thing." "Your gravity?" Zexhai asked. "Normal," Lisa said. "Why?" "Compared to here." Maya looked around and jumped a little. She went much higher than she expected. "Oh, this place has light gravity. Maybe half what we're used to." "And your atmosphere?" Sam checked his scanner. "The oxygen level here is pretty low. Maybe 60% of what we're used to breathing, but it's okay, we can adapt." The Zerathi were silent. Finally, Zexhai spoke again. "You said storms and earthquakes are normal on your world?" "Sure," Pete said. "Tornadoes, hurricanes, blizzards, earthquakes, volcanoes, floods, just part of life, you know?" "And you consider this normal?" "Well, yeah," Jake said. "Earth can be tough sometimes, but it's not so bad. You learn to deal with it." Zexhai removed his helmet. His face was pale and covered in sweat. "I think there has been a mistake." "What kind of mistake?" Lisa asked. "We hired you to work on a dangerous world, a place we call a death world. But now I think we have hired Deathworlders to work on our safe world." Jake did not understand. "I'm sorry, what's a Deathworlder?" Zexhai looked at each of them in turn. "You are. All of you. You come from a world so dangerous that it would kill any of us in minutes. You breathe poison air, survive in crushing gravity, and pet creatures that would tear us apart. You are the most dangerous beings in the galaxy, and you do not even know it." The humans looked at each other in confusion. "But we're just regular people," Sam said. "No," Zexhai said quietly. "You are not." Commander Zexhai led the humans to a meeting room inside a large white building. The walls were covered with screens showing maps and data. Other Zerathi scientists and officers sat around a long table, all still wearing their protective suits. "Please, sit down," Zexhai said. "We need to discuss the real mission." Jake and his crew took seats at the table. The chairs were too big for them, clearly made for the taller Zerathi. Pete's feet did not even touch the floor. "First, I must apologize," Zexhai began. "We were not honest in our job posting. We did not tell you the full truth about what we need." "What kind of truth?" Jake asked. Zexhai touched a control panel and the screens around the room came to life. They showed a planet that looked like a nightmare. Red and orange rocks stretched in every direction. Huge volcanoes shot fire and smoke into a dark sky. Rivers of melted rock flowed between jagged mountains. "This is Inferno 7, Zexhai said. "The planet we need you to work on." Lisa whistled softly. "That's quite a view." "It is a death world," Zexhai continued. "The surface temperature reaches 400 degrees. The air pressure is 3 times what we consider safe. The atmosphere will dissolve most living tissue in minutes." Maya studied the images. "What's the atmospheric composition?" A Zerathi scientist answered. "Mostly carbon dioxide with traces of sulfur compounds and other toxic gases. Maya said. Not great, but we've worked in worse. Remember that job in the sulfur mines on Io? The scientist stared at her. You have worked in conditions like this before? Similar, Sam said. Though Io was actually hotter, if I remember right. Zexhai continued his presentation. The planet has active seismic activity. Earthquakes happen daily. The ground is unstable. Geysers of superheated gas erupt. Without warning. Pete nodded. Sounds like Yellowstone. We did some work there a few years back. Yellowstone? Another Zerathi asked. National park on Earth, Pete explained. Lots of hot springs and geysers. Beautiful place, actually. The Zerathi exchanged worried looks. There is more, Zexhai said. He showed them images of strange creatures. They looked like giant lizards with sharp teeth and claws. Their skin was black and seemed to glow with heat. The native life forms, Zexhai explained. They are highly aggressive predators. They hunt in packs and can move very fast. Their bite is venomous. Sam looked at the images carefully. How big are they? About the size of your Earth horses, the scientist said. And they're pack hunters? Yes. Very dangerous. Sam shrugged. They look like big lizards, probably territorial. As long as we don't threaten them or get between them and their food, we should be fine. You are not afraid? Zexhai asked. Of lizards? Sam laughed. I grew up in Florida. We had alligators in our backyard. These things look friendlier than gators. Jake was studying the mission details on the screen. So what exactly do you need us to do on this planet? Zexhai brought up new images. They showed a large mining operation with buildings and equipment. Inferno 7 has rare minerals that we need for our technology. We have tried 17 times to establish a mining base there. Every time, we lose the entire team. How do they die? Lisa asked. Many ways. The environment kills some. The creatures kill others. Equipment failures. Accidents. The planet seems to fight us at every step. Maya looked at the mining equipment in the images. This gear looks pretty standard. What kind of failures are you having? The heat melts our systems. The pressure crushes our buildings. The toxic air corrodes our metal. Nothing we build lasts more than a few days. What about cooling systems? Maya asked. We have tried everything. Nothing works. Maya shook her head. You're approaching this all wrong. You don't fight the environment, you work with it. Use the heat instead of fighting it. Build underground where it's cooler. Route the toxic gases away from your work areas. The Zerathi scientist made notes. You have ideas for how to succeed where we have failed? Sure, Maya said. It's basic industrial engineering. We've solved problems like this on Earth dozens of times. Zexhai leaned forward. You believe you can establish a working mine on Inferno 7? Jake looked at his crew. They all nodded. We can try, he said. But we'll need to do this our way. No offense, but your methods aren't working. What is your way? Zexhai asked. Simple, Pete said. We go in, look around, figure out what we're dealing with, then adapt. Same as always. You will go to the surface without protection? We'll need some gear, Sam said. Breathing masks, cooling suits, basic protection, but nothing too heavy. We need to be able to move and work. The Zerathi were silent for a long moment. Finally, Zexhai spoke. I want to come with you. What? One of his officers said in alarm. I need to see this for myself, Zexhai said. If these beings can work on Inferno 7, I must understand how. Commander, it is too dangerous, another Zerathi protested. Everything is dangerous, Zexhai said. But these humans make the impossible look easy. Perhaps I can learn something. Jake nodded. You're welcome to come, but you'll have to keep up. We work fast. I understand. When do we leave? Lisa asked. Zexhai checked his tablet. The transport ship is ready now. We can depart within the hour. As they prepared to leave, Jake noticed the other Zerathi watching them with a mixture of fear and amazement. Word was spreading through their military about the humans who treated Deathworlds like vacation spots. Commander, Jake said as they walked to the transport. Can I ask you something? Of course. How many species are there in the galaxy? Thousands, Zexai replied. Why do you ask? Jake smiled. I'm just wondering how many of them are going to be surprised when they meet humans. Zexai thought about this. All of them, he said finally. Every single one. As their ship lifted off toward Inferno 7, Jake realized their simple mining job was about to become something much bigger. They were not just going to work on a dangerous planet. They were about to show the galaxy what humans could do. The transport ship arrived at Inferno 7 after a 2-day journey. Through the viewing windows, the planet looked even worse than the pictures. Orange and red lava flows covered most of the surface. Black smoke poured from dozens of volcanoes. Lightning flashed constantly in the dark clouds above. Commander Zexai sat in his full environmental suit, checking his life support systems every few minutes. The other Zarathi crew members stayed sealed in their protective gear, monitoring warning sensors that beeped constantly. Jake and his crew wore simple work clothes with breathing masks and light cooling vests. They looked like they were getting ready for a normal day at a construction site. Atmospheric readings are deadly, the Zarathi pilot announced. Surface temperature is 412 degrees. Air pressure is triple safe levels. Toxic. Gas concentrations are at maximum. Sounds about right, Lisa said, checking her own scanner. Maybe a little warm, but nothing we can't handle. The shuttle landed on a flat area of black rock near the ruins of a previous Zarathi base. Twisted metal and melted equipment scattered across the ground showed what had happened to earlier missions. The shuttle door opened. Hot air rushed in, carrying the smell of sulfur and burned rock. The Zarathi sealed their suits tighter and increased their life support power. Jake stepped outside first. The heat hit him like opening an oven door, but he just wiped sweat from his forehead and looked around. Not too bad, he said. Reminds me of that summer job I had in Arizona. Pete joined him, stretching in the hot air. Yeah, this is like working on a roof in July. Hot, but doable. Maya came out next, already studying the ruined equipment. Look at this stuff. They tried to build everything above ground. No wonder it melted. Sam walked over to examine the remains of a Zarathi shelter. Poor design for this environment. They fought the heat instead of working with it. Commander Zexai stepped carefully from the shuttle, his suit systems working at full power. How are you not dying? He asked through his helmet speaker. Dying? Lisa laughed. This is just hot weather. We drink lots of water, take breaks in the shade, work smart instead of hard. The toxic gases will kill you, Zexai warned. Sam checked his air scanner. The sulfur compounds are pretty strong, but nothing we haven't breathed before. Remember that job near the paper mill in Louisiana? This is cleaner. As they walked across the volcanic landscape, the differences became more obvious. The humans moved easily, their cooling vests keeping them comfortable. They stepped around lava flows and hot springs like they were avoiding puddles on a sidewalk. Zexai struggled in his heavy suit. The life support systems were running hot, working overtime to keep him alive in conditions the humans found merely uncomfortable. There, Maya pointed to a rocky outcrop. That's where we should build the base. Underground, in that cave system. Natural cooling, protection from the weather, easy access to the mineral deposits. The caves could collapse, Zexai said. Maya tapped the rock with a hammer she carried on her belt. This is solid volcanic stone. It's been here for thousands of years. It's not going anywhere. They explored the cave system. It was cooler inside, maybe 300 degrees instead of 400. To the humans, it felt like a pleasant break from the heat outside. Perfect, Jake said. We can set up the main base here, run power and air lines to the mining sites, use the natural rock for protection. As they worked, a sound echoed from deeper in the caves. Something was moving in, the darkness. Red eyes reflected their flashlight beams. The predators, Zexai whispered. We must leave immediately. 3 large creatures emerged from the shadows. They looked like the giant lizards from the photos, but bigger and more dangerous in person. Black scales covered their bodies and their teeth glowed white in the dark. The Zarathi commander prepared to run, but Jake held up a hand. "Wait," Jake said calmly. "Don't move fast, don't make noise." The creatures approached slowly, sniffing the air. They were curious, but not aggressive. Sam pulled a sandwich from his pack and tossed a piece of meat toward the creatures. One of them picked it up and ate it. The creature made a sound that was almost like a purr. "They're just hungry," Sam said. "Probably haven't seen people in a while. They're not hunting us, just checking us out." The largest creature walked up to Pete, who stood very still. It sniffed his hand, then rubbed its head against his arm like a giant cat. "Amazing," Pete said softly. "It's friendly." Zexhai could not believe what he was seeing. "Those creatures killed 6 of our people." "Because your people probably ran," Maya explained. "Running triggers their hunting instinct. Stand still and they think you're just another part of the environment." Jake pulled out his phone and took a picture with one of the creatures. "These guys aren't so bad. We just need to respect their space and not bother them when they're sleeping." After exploring for several hours, they returned to the shuttle. Jake had filled a notebook with plans and ideas. Maya had collected rock and air samples. Pete had marked locations for safe explosive work. Sam had cataloged the local wildlife and their behaviors. "So," Jake said to Zexhai, "when do we start building?" "You want to establish a base here?" Zexhai asked in amazement. "Sure. Give us a week to get the right equipment, and we'll have a working mine running within a month." "A month? We have been trying for 2 years," Lisa shrugged. "You were doing it wrong. This isn't that different from offshore oil drilling or deep mining on Earth. Same principles, just a different location." As they prepared to leave Inferno 7, Zexhai made a decision that would change everything. He sent a message to the Zarathi, High Command, and then to the Galactic Coalition. The message was simple. "We have found beings who can work anywhere in the galaxy. The humans from Earth are not just Deathworld survivors. They are the solution to every impossible job we have ever faced." Jake noticed Zexhai sending the message but did not think much of it. He was already planning their return trip with proper equipment. To him, this was just another job. He had no idea that his crew was about to become the most famous workers in galactic history. 6 months later, Jake Morrison stood in his new office on Earth, looking at a wall covered with job requests. Messages came from all over the galaxy. Every alien species wanted to hire the humans who could work anywhere. The mining operation on Inferno 7 had been a complete success. What took other species years to attempt, Jake's crew had finished in 4 weeks. The Zarathi now had a fully working mine that produced more rare minerals than their previous 17 failed missions combined. Word spread fast through the galaxy. Within days of their success, Jake started getting calls from alien species he had never heard of. They all had the same problem: dangerous places they could not work, impossible jobs they could not complete. Lisa walked into his office carrying another stack of messages. "The Xanthari want us to build a research station on an ice planet," she said. "They're offering triple the usual rate." "What's wrong with the ice planet?" Jake asked. "The temperature is minus 200 degrees. The wind speed reaches 300 miles per hour. The atmosphere is mostly methane." Jake laughed. "Sounds like a bad day in Antarctica. Tell them we'll take the job." The phone rang again. Maya answered it from her desk across the room. "Morrison, Hazardous Environment Solutions," she said. "How can we help you?" After a few minutes, she hung up and called out to Jake. "That was the Vorthon Republic. They want us to clear a space route through an asteroid field. Previous attempts have lost 43 ships." "What kind of asteroids?" Pete asked from his corner desk. "The usual. Some are radioactive. Some have acid storms. Some are covered in crystals that cut through ship hulls." Pete grinned. "Sounds fun. When do we start?" The success had changed all their lives. They had moved their headquarters to Earth and hired more humans to help with the flood of requests. Each job paid enough to make them rich, but they kept working because they enjoyed the challenge. Sam walked in from the medical bay he had set up next door. "I just got back from the Galactic Medical Conference," he said. "Half the species in the galaxy want to study human biology." "Why?" Jake asked. They can't understand how we survive in conditions that kill them. Our bone density, muscle strength, immune system, everything about us is considered impossible by their standards. We're not that special, Lisa said. To them we are, Sam replied. I had a doctor from Rigel ask me how humans survive drinking liquid that would dissolve his entire species. What liquid? Maya asked. Water. Plain water is too corrosive for most alien species. Jake shook his head. The galaxy is a strange place. The door opened and Commander Zexai walked in. He had become their official liaison with the Galactic Coalition. He no longer wore an environmental suit when visiting Earth, though he still carried a breathing mask for emergencies. I have news, Zexai said. The Coalition Council wants to meet with you. All of us? Jake asked. All of you. They have a proposal. 2 weeks later, Jake and his crew stood in the Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Coalition. Representatives from hundreds of species filled the enormous room. Jake had never seen so many different kinds of aliens in one place. The Coalition speaker, a tall being with 4 arms and blue skin, addressed them from a raised platform. Humans of Earth, the speaker said, you have accomplished in months what our best teams could not do in years. You have opened worlds that we thought were lost forever. You have made the impossible possible. Jake felt uncomfortable with all the attention. We just did our jobs, he said. Your jobs, the speaker continued, have changed the galaxy. Because of you, we can now access resources on 1,000 worlds. Trade routes that were too dangerous are now safe. Colonies that failed can now succeed. The speaker gestured to the assembled representatives. Every species here has benefited from your work. The Council has decided to offer you something that has never been offered to any single species before. What's that? Lisa asked. Full membership in the Galactic Coalition, a permanent seat on the Council, access to all our technology and knowledge. In return, you would become our official hazardous environment specialists. Jake looked at his crew. They all looked as surprised as he felt. What would that mean exactly? Maya asked. It means Earth becomes one of the most important worlds in the galaxy, Zexai explained. Anytime any species faces an impossible challenge, they would come to you first. And the pay? Pete asked with a grin. The speaker named a number that made even Pete's eyes go wide. That's per job, the speaker added. And we estimate you would have work for the next 1,000 years. Jake thought about it. A year ago, they had been struggling to pay for fuel for their old mining ship. Now they were being offered membership in an organization that controlled half the galaxy. We need to talk about this, Jake said. The Council gave them a private room to discuss the offer. Jake looked at his friends, the people who had followed him across space on jobs that barely paid enough to eat. What do you think? He asked. I think it's crazy, Sam said. A year ago we were nobody. Now they want to make us the most important humans in history. The money is good, Pete pointed out. It's not about the money, Lisa said. It's about what we could do. Think about all the people we could help, all the places we could open up, all the problems we could solve. Maya nodded. And it's still just construction work. Dangerous construction work in interesting places. Jake made his decision. Let's do it. They returned to the assembly hall and Jake addressed the council. Earth accepts your offer, he said. We'll take the job. The hall erupted in cheers and applause from hundreds of alien species. Jake realized that their simple mining crew had just become the galaxy's go-to team for impossible jobs. As they left the hall, Zexai walked with them. You realize what you have done? He asked. We took a job, Jake said. You took every job, Zexai replied. Every dangerous, impossible, deadly job in the galaxy is now yours. Jake smiled. Sounds like fun. As they prepared to return to Earth, Jake thought about how much had changed. They had started as 5 people trying to make enough money to survive. Now, they represented their entire planet in the galactic community. But some things had not changed. They were still just people who were good at working in dangerous places. They were still a team that trusted each other completely. They were still humans from Earth, ready to go wherever the job took them. The galaxy's deadliest job had become their specialty, and they could not wait to see what impossible challenge came next.